Hello, it's week 22 and we're learning feather stitch, and so you'll need to start by drawing some lines on with an air erasable pen. You can use a water erasable if you prefer. I think air erasable is probably the way to go. So I've got 3 strands of thread and I've tied a knot in the end. Okay, now with feather stitch, basically you work in pairs of lines, so it's like those two there and those two there. So if you want to call it 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. You can work it from either edge, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to start this side just because I'm right-handed and that's what I prefer, and that's how I've taught myself. Okay, so come out of that end, the top line, and go skip a line and then bring your needle back through the fabric at the top of that, the line over there with one in the middle. Okay, I'm going to come up like to make a V shape like that, and when I pull my thread through you can see that the thread goes in that V shape. Now, moving to the left, skipping a line and moving down slightly, you're going to repeat that same process, okay? And now when I pull it, you'll see that the stitches are joined together, and that's basically anchoring that first stitch there so that it won't move. And then as we repeat, each stitch that we put in will anchor the previous one. Okay, so put your thread through the fabric and come up at the bottom of that V shape. Try and keep them as consistent as you can so that they're the same size. I've just got my thread in a tangle there, so I'm just going to move that, come up, and as I pull, that will anchor that previous stitch there. Okay, so when you move down a little bit, move across, I find that's quite helpful, and down, you only need to move down a really tiny bit, okay, it doesn't need to be loads. And what we're going to do on this last stitch where we've got to the end is we're just going to pop a little anchor stitch in over the bottom of that little feather stitch there. And there we are. It creates a lovely pattern. You can obviously vary it by changing the distance between the vertical lines that you've drawn. I like to stitch it vertically. You can stitch it horizontally if you want to. Have a go and play around and see what works for you. So there we are. That is our feather stitch for week 22.